Silly me, I'm back here again. This is Dr. Frog, P-H-R-O-G, as the mamas and papas used to describe it. Here for your daily red pill. And obviously some of you have been taking red pills for longer than I have, so welcome. You can also be Dr. Frogs. And some of us have been taking red pills in various doses for years, but certainly with greater intensity since Q started posting, and that's intentional. Part of this little charade, or charade, depending on where you live, where we get to run around and do the scavenger hunt to try to find the source of materials, is red pill. Red pill, red pill. You know, if we were doing the scavenger hunt, each time you found something, there'd be another little pill box that said red pills for all you guys. Take one and move on to the next spot. So I diverge. So the Q postings from last night are number 1, which is number 780, number 101. Never got over the fact that Obama was able to send $1.7 billion in cash to Iran, and nobody in Congress, the FBI, or Justice called for an investigation. And then that's the quote, and then a Trump quote, and then reread the crumbs. What is the reason this is being brought back up? There's a purpose for every tweet, and crumb dropped. Follow the money, as I did this morning with H.W. Bush. Follow the money, and when you start talking trillions, pay attention. So take a look, if you will, at my H.W. Bush, How Evil is Poppy Bush posting, and that'll give you another red pill for the morning, and you'll probably be good for the whole day. So future proves past, the Great Awakening, no escape, no deals, trust the plan, happy Sunday. So I'm just reading it, but the deeper part of this is that Iran had frozen, we had frozen about $30 billion of Iranian money and assets after 1976, when the Iranians had their revolution, and, or is it 77, the Ayatollah Khomeini captured a whole bunch of Americans, held them hostage. I think it was 440 or so hostages. It took until the start of the Reagan administration, and that's another story, to get them out of Iran, but the assets remained frozen, and they've remained frozen for now 40 years. So one of the leverage points that Obama had over this alleged Iranian nuclear deal was to, hey, look, maybe we could unfreeze your capital. And there are people in the mainstream media and moderates and Democrats that say, well, why are you guys getting upset about this $1.7 billion? We owe them the money. It's their money. Well, the first answer to that is, I'm not sure it was. You know, unless somebody would show me that you took out of the Chase Manhattan Bank frozen funds or interest on frozen funds, and that the Obama administration took that money and transferred it over to cash, first in, I think, $400 million, and then as the negotiations were proceeding, and then $1.3 billion separately on pallets and cargo ships of non-US dollars, which I misunderstood at the start, in a variety of, and nobody's told us which currencies, in a variety of currencies equivalent to $1.3 billion. Why did we cargo ship that over to Iran? And did we ship it all to Iran? Did it go to Tehran or to other bases in Iran, or did it go elsewhere? We don't know. And we don't know without the currency being matched. You know, was it Pakistani currency? Was it Sudanese currency? Was it a Libyan currency? What was it? Syrian currency? How are these people getting their money, and why was it being paid? And what's more than that, $30 billion was transferred from various, or somewhere around there, from various bank sources to German and other European banks, and perhaps into Asia, and it was transferred from United States currency, once unfrozen, to those other banks. That makes perfect sense. That's the way it was to start with. That's the way it was being held. That's the way it's being transferred. So the naysayers are saying, well, gee, there's no problem with this $1.7 billion. Well, then my question is, why did they transfer $1.7 billion on pallets when all the rest of it was wired from one bank to the next? Does that make any sense? And why was it in a variety of different currencies? Does that make any sense? And how do we know that it actually came from bank accounts? Did the banks actually say, well, gee, I owe $1 billion to Iran, and therefore here you are, Barack Obama. Here is your $1 billion in pallets in Syrian or Iranian currency. Yeah, right. Well, who knows? So what's more than that, there are some internet connections which are saying that there were tens of millions of dollars being sent to Iran monthly during negotiations that may or may not have been part of the $30 billion, and that is still not disclosed either. So there's a lot of explaining to do, and transparency, which is what Barack Hussein Obama promised, is not exactly the trademark of that administration. So follow the money. How do we do that? We're still on the trail. The next one is Trust Sessions, Trust Ray. 2018 will be glorious. Some of you may have watched Sessions' discussion with on Fox on Sunday. I'm trying to think what her name is right now. But anyway, and he was asked some very pointed questions, and he was somewhat deferential. But if you read between the lines, he basically said, you know, we're investigating all of this. I'm not going to tell you what investigations are ongoing. I'm not telling you who has been investigated. I'm not going to tell you what the outlets are. I'm not supposed to do that. I am the Attorney General, and our investigations are supposed to be just that, not political leaks on an ongoing basis to damage people's character, but investigations for criminal purposes to see whether or not someone should be charged, which is, you know, amazingly what is supposed to be done. So I guess I'll trust him. Trust but verify, right? We'll watch for it again. The next post is a repost of a Donald Trump tweet. Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted and should be in jail. Instead, she is running for president in what looks like a rigged election. This was 2015. And Q says, thoughts of the current president of the United States. Well, current obviously is Trump is the current president, but flip the words. Current thoughts of the president of the United States. Is that in fact the case? I don't think it had been posted if it weren't the case. So the next one is a clipboard image done by an Anon, which is a page presentation called Global Ambassadors India 2017 Meet the Little Kids. And I'll see if I can get it so that you can see it. There it is. That's the posting. And it says Global Ambassador, and then it says our sponsors, supporters are Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Microsoft, Google, and Epic 100% grass-fed protein. Now, there are some interesting things about this. First of all, that India is in a big battle with Gates, with Bill Gates and the Microsoft bunch, and I have not researched that out. But India does not want anything to do with Gates, so why is he giving money to India? Secondly, you got Google, which of course is Eric Schmidt. And third, you've got this Epic 100% grass-fed protein. And one of the Anons pointed out right here that this is a symbol of pedophilia, of walnut sauce. Now, I looked and I could not match it up. But if that is the case, it certainly ties it all together. And why are we doing little kids spelled D-D-L-E? L-I-D-D-L-E, kids with a Z. I know that's being cute, but it has dark resonance. And maybe India has more reasons for not liking Gates than we've been told. The Q posting is Gannett is also located in McLean, Virginia. Coincidence, just the tip. And again, we see on and on the tip of the iceberg, if you want to call it that. And it's almost like there's a flock of birds hopping in the Antarctic from one iceberg to the next, giving us little ideas of what's under the surface, and all we see are the tips, and maybe not even that, and we certainly won't see it with the mainstream media. The next posting is, at Snowden, where are you? Not in Russia. Eyes on, you are now a liability. So, you know, I find it fascinating that there are some Q evaluators, Q commentators who still say, well, gee, Snowden might be a good guy. Well, after a dozen postings from Q and pointing out various things, including where he came from, his CIA background, what he did to the NSA and how that fits into it, how he sneaked through Hong Kong and CIA provided him clearance to get to Russia, and that he may or may not be doing dirty work of the CIA in Russia, including the Steele dossier and some Russian hacking and some other stuff going on. So those are all links and they're all questions, and obviously I'm not investigating it, but there are other people that are. So the second half of that posting is helping at Jack. Well, this is Jack from Twitter. Project Deep Dream, and that is a video game which is a crazy stuff, basically an alternate reality kind of thing. We will never forget. ES failed. Now, is that Schmidt or is that Snowden? Where is ES? So are we going back to Edward Snowden? John Perry Barlow, I'm thinking it's Snowden because Barlow is the link to Snowden. The day of reckoning upon us, John 3:16. And so the New International Version of the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. I know many of you, if not most of you, know that, whether you're religious or not. It's an interesting connotation and interesting injection here. There is, I checked, and Jack is not a John, so, which is, sometimes we have to do these little things, right? Now, 105, the next one is, which is 785, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plan to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And then it says, protect 6/14-46. And then it says it over again, and Q+. And I scrambled around to figure out what that meant until my little pea brain came upon the fact that this might be linking directly to Trump, and 6/14-46 happens to be his birthday. So he was born on Flag Day in 1946, and the reference I think here is there is goodness, there is greatness, there is a watchful eye being given to Trump, and that watchful eye is for him to be in this place to prosper for all of us. We'll see how that is. I mean, that's the most optimistic look at it. So the next one is clean action approved highest authority. I have no idea what that means, except maybe that there's something going on and it is all well documented and being done legally, which is a good place to go. And that's certainly what Sessions said to us. So the next two are for God and country, and it ties into the whole religious theme of this posting. I'm not that any of you care, but I'm not particularly fundamentally religious. But I tell you that I'm profoundly moved by the deeper spiritual aspects of the postings we occasionally get, which are that we seek a higher plane, we seek a higher motive, and that is both political and religious, and I honor it. And I honor those of you who embrace that in the fullness of your being. Again, we've been red-pilled. One more red pill. I did a red pill this morning on George H.W. Bush. I ask you to take a look at it. It is just the tip of the H.W. Bush iceberg, and I gave some links. Some of those links are pretty salacious, and there are darker ones yet, and there are many of them. And of course, you say, well, gee, how could George just be a bad guy? Well, take a look at it and put it in context, and take a look at all of the pieces, and he fits. H.W. Bush fits back to 1960 and perhaps before. His dad was a dark and dirty guy. His grandfather was a dark and dirty guy. And on H.W.'s mother's side is also the case, and H.W. wife's side is also the case. And then we get little Georgie Bush, little Georgie Jr., and we get more of it. So it is dark, 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 dark for 5 generations, or 4 anyway. So somebody said posted in response to my morning posting that it goes way back further than this, and my answer to that is yes, of course it does. It goes back for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. We know that the Rothschild stuff goes back at least to the 1770s, and we know that there's dark stuff that perhaps goes back 2,000 years or even more. But you know, we can only take a few red pills at a time. And that's the point that Q has made to us. Take the pills, get greater understanding, get an appreciation for itself, awaken, wrap yourself in it, and move on. And that's exactly what we're doing, and it's what I'm trying to do, to see the big picture and a variety of pieces in it. So one of the next ones I'm going to do is on Franklin Roosevelt, and an awful lot of you were raised, all of you were raised to treat him as the ultimate hero and one of our best 3 or 4 presidents, and I'm going to tell you he was not. Okay? So if you like this, give a thumbs up, subscribe if you will, hit the button. Maybe they'll tell you that I have posted something new, maybe they won't. YouTube seems to be playing games, and I'm sure it's not just with me. No, I don't have some kind of paranoid death wish. So, thanks so much for watching.